Hello everyone, my name is Jessica Bodell, my hobby is genealogy, and I'm going to be talking about Ellis Island. If you've got an ancestor like I have that's gone through Ellis Island, you probably are having one of the problems I am in that you can't find out anything about their life before they arrived through Ellis Island. Now, my problem was actually his name. When he came through the records, he came out as Anton Maskey, and that was on all his naturalization paperwork. It was on his Ellis Island certificate. That's what he used all of his life while he was in America. And we thought that was his name from when he was in before, because like I'm sure many of you have also read, if you've been looking into Ellis Island, a lot of people say that name errors didn't really happen, that was a myth, that it was very rare, there's very few cases. There's actually a lot more than what people think. And that's because of several problems, and a lot of people probably haven't even reported it because they found out what they're looking for, or they don't even know that there is a problem because they can't look at anything before their ancestor came through Ellis Island. Some of you might not even be able to find your ancestors at record through Ellis Island. If that's the case, the best bet you have is the ship's logs. If you know the date your ancestor came through immigration, look for the ship that he was on. If you don't know that, it's usually listed on your naturalization paperwork for your ancestor. You can find it on there, but once you get that, go through the ship's logs. You will probably find your ancestor's name on there, but spelled differently from what you know on the paperwork, because name changes did happen through Ellis Island quite frequently, and it was probably not the fault of the Ellis Island staff, and that was because until 1917 the people going through did not need to take a literacy test, which means they didn't know how to read or write most of the time they were going through. And even after that, a lot of people would rehearse what they had to say, although they did often use the ship's logs. They had to read a paragraph of the ship's logs, so that would kind of throw people off. But before that, 1917, they didn't have to do anything. So sometimes they probably didn't know how to write down their own name, or at least not correctly. And until 1920, they weren't required to have passports, so they had no evidence, no proof of what their name actually was. So if your ancestor became before 1920 and before 1917, there's a good chance that there could be a misspelling. It's always good to look into, so I would say to any of you who've had an ancestor that's gone through Ellis Island, check the ship's logs. In my case, the ship's logs for when he arrived into New York are right here. I think that they actually probably listed their name again as they came through the dock. They may have just translated it from the ship's logs coming through, but when I looked at that, I asked myself, is that an A or an E with the handwriting? Because dealing with cursive handwriting, sometimes those letters might not be what they look like. And if the person processing my great-grandfather mistook it for an A and it was an E, then there was a possibility that my great-grandfather's name wasn't Maskey. So when I looked around the ship's logs, I found two other people who were actually listed in the household. I'd never known about them before, and their last name was Mirsky. So that got me thinking some more, and I thought, I'm going to check the original logs for when they first started out. And when I did that, I found that all of them actually had the name spelled Mirsky, not ending in a Y. There was no A. So the name got changed as they went through, probably because they read out their names rather than writing it in, and people couldn't quite understand what they were saying, or they didn't know how to do the spellings, and obviously they couldn't spell it out for them, and so the names got wrote down wrong. Started right at the process, probably because the people could understand them, and then towards the end, the language barriers, whatever might have occurred, the name got changed. If you need any help finding information about your ancestors, I'm more than willing to help. I've helped several people with this before, but name changes did happen. Name changes happened a lot. So any questions, just let me know. I'll be happy to help you. Thanks. Bye.